the dog trainer threw out the chair and let out a roar at the dog. Despite the trainer's forceful actions, the Jindo dog in front of him showed no fear. All the fur on its back stood up, and it tilted its body backward, assuming an attacking stance. The man and the dog locked eyes, initiating a battle of wills. On the side, the owner nervously gripped a handful of sweat. The elderly couple dared not imagine if their dog behaved like this regularly. They had been bitten far more times than this incident. According to the couple's recollection, they once had a dog named Mong-ko. Due to an unexpected accident, left them. At that time, in their grieving state, the couple acquired a Korea Jindo dog puppy named Young-ko to compensate for the loss of Mong-ko. They showered double the love and care on Young-ko. During the meticulous 14 months of raising, the once obedient dog turned into an intermittently insane aggressive beast. Young-ko, who used to be like an angel on walks, affectionate and charming to its owners, displayed a completely different side once inside the home. It wasn't a simple warning growl, it was a fierce attack on the owners. The wife recalls the first time they tried to give the dog a bath. Young-ko suddenly unleashed unprecedented aggression, rampaging through the house and creating chaos. Left with no choice, the couple had to build an outdoor kennel. Since then, the dog has ruled the roost at home, and every feeding time filled the wife with anxiety, her arm injuries forcing her to be extra cautious. What troubles the couple even more is that Young-ko doesn't let them enter the house. As soon as they approach, Young-ko fiercely roars at the door. If they dare to continue forward, it vents its anger by biting the door edges. Now, the two owners can only enter the house through the back door, a life they endure every day until their child, who lives elsewhere, discovered the situation. For the safety of their parents, the child sought help from a dog trainer. Upon arrival, the trainer didn't rush inside, but stood outside consulting with the couple about the specific situation. Afterward, the trainer decided to confront Young-ko. The dog also had its strategy. It deliberately turned away to make the trainer relax his guard. However, the trainer wasn't fooled by its intentions. Approaching while making noise, the trainer deliberately touched the door handle, and upon hearing the sound, Young-ko charged. With continuous furious barking, it raised its tail high and assumed an attacking posture. Unfazed, the trainer continued to apply pressure. Taking another step forward, Young-ko launched a sudden attack toward the trainer's foot, but realizing that the trainer wasn't afraid and kept approaching even if bitten, it became confused and retreated temporarily. As it noticed the trainer was about to open the door again, the dog trainer mentioned he couldn't enter the dog's attack range now, as doing so would only further enrage the dog's anger. A psychological game between the man and the dog officially began. The trainer once again opened the door, and Young-ko quickly lifted its hindquarters and charged forward, ruthlessly biting the door to showcase its strength. It then issued a warning roar towards the trainer. Unfazed, the trainer continued to move slowly, applying pressure. At this moment, Young-ko's tail drooped, and it avoided direct eye contact with the trainer. After a prolonged standoff, the dog settled it down. However, as the trainer raised his hand again, Young-ko advanced to bite the door edge once more. The trainer increased the pressure, prompting Young-ko to retreat and create some distance. Despite the dog's angered state, it chose to step back. Though defiance lingered in its eyes, the trainer walked towards the back door, and upon coming out, he threw a chair, confusing Young-ko. The trainer carefully observed the dog's reaction, then picked up the chair and approached, applying pressure. The dog trainer then sat on the chair within the dog's attack range. Surprisingly, Young-ko didn't choose to attack but turned its head to avoid eye contact. Through this series of confrontations, the trainer gained a thorough understanding of Young-ko's personality. Young-ko resembled a spoiled child, aware that crying and tantrums satisfied its desires. Over time, it developed a domineering character, bullying the weak at home but transforming into a timid creature outside. Constantly glancing towards its owners at this moment was enough to confirm the trainer's assessment. Later, the dog was taken outdoors, and as the male owner put the collar around its neck, Young-ko unpredictably beat his hand. The trainer inquired about the severity of the injury, but the couple was busy comforting the dog. Only then did they inform the trainer that the injury was minor, not worth worrying about. The dog trainer emphasized that the dog should not bite the owner, and even growling at them is intolerable. Both individuals must establish their positions clearly. With that said, they continued their walk. The dog's continuous forward pulling led to it experiencing dry heaving. The male owner kept asking the dog trainer if the dog was okay.
나 정말 큰 문제를 알았어.
그래요?
어머 일로 와보세요. 어머니가 여기 손 이거 좀 이렇게 만져주려고 하다가 좀 만지지 말라고 좀 씨. 근데 엄마가 만져서 미안해. 폐류나.
The dog trainer stressed the importance of having a sense of crisis when dealing with a dog's issues, but the couple had a contrary attitude, being lenient even when bitten. Yonko, at just 14 months, displayed concerning behavior, and the trainer warned that excessive pampering could lead to disaster. Taking charge, the trainer grabbed the leash and immediately began controlling the dog with the rope. Yonko, revealing its true nature, growled and resisted intensely despite the dog's attempts to bite the rope to break free. The trainer persistently maintained control. Now, the trainer handed the rope back to the male owner. The first step was for the owner to move closer, easing the tension before commanding the dog to move forward in 3 steps, then stand still and repeating the process. Even if the dog resisted being dragged, its feelings were not a concern. After stopping, the owner had to count to 5 and then approach the dog to relieve tension. The process would continue with increasing step counts, from 5 to 10. If the dog walks ahead, the owner moves in the opposite direction, because there's no logic in letting the dog walk the person. After extensive and repetitive training, Yonko gradually began to cooperate with the owner's footsteps, obediently walking by their side and completely changing its demeanor. As they conversed, the group returned to the front of the house. The dog trainer instructed the male owner to walk the dog to the door, stop, and then, despite the dog's resistance, pull it out. Yonko seemed to have a magical switch on its body outside the designated line. It turned into a well-behaved angel, while inside, it transformed into a fierce demon. This time, as the male owner walked further with the dog, just as they turned around to come out, Yonko suddenly bit the leash. The dog completely disobeyed the owner's control, exhibiting unprecedented resistance. By the time Yonko realized it had been pulled outside, its calming speed was faster than the effects of a sedative injection. Under the dog trainer's guidance, the male owner repeatedly entered and exited the yard until, after entering the yard again, Yonko stood still. The trainer mentioned that the dog no longer wanted to fight with the owner, so there was no need to forcefully pull. Providing the dog with time to accept reality was also part of the training process. After a short break, they resumed training, but unexpectedly, Yonko once again showed aggression towards the owner. The trainer instructed the male owner to quickly shorten the leash, but he was frightened by the dog's growls, and despite reminders from his wife, he hesitated. At this moment, more fierce growls came from behind. In a critical moment, the dog trainer stepped forward, and his roaring voice carried more intimidation. The dog, seeing the trainer's assertive approach, became somewhat confused. The trainer then picked up the rope from the ground, emitting a deep growl, gradually shortening the rope in his hand. The 2 types of growls in the yard overlapped, making it difficult to distinguish between human and dog. At this point, the trainer instructed the owner to release the rope. The moment the rope loosened, Yonko began to struggle, biting onto the rope. The trainer increased control as the rope was pulled higher, and Yonko fiercely resisted while emitting sharp cries. What seemed like the dog playing pitiful turned into a sudden attack. The trainer, familiar with such behavior from small dogs, anticipated Yonko's moves. He continued to guide Yonko around the yard, pulling forcefully if the dog resisted. Yonko was pressed into a corner, tail down, showing genuine fear. The trainer handed control back to the owner, though, with newfound assertiveness, stood firm when the dog struggled, waiting for it to calm down before continuing the walk. After countless repetitions, Yonko's gaze softened. The trainer noted that Yonko was different from other small dogs, as roaring with mouth movements had become its habit. This was similar to a person's habitual phrases when scolding someone. Most small dogs engage in defensive attacks, targeting people's feet, but Yonko aimed for the face, indicating a desire to assert dominance. The dog trainer's final advice was crucial. Relying on a single day of training wouldn't genuinely address Yonko's issues. The owner must commit to long-term and consistent training for Yonko to gradually improve. Before concluding today's training, the trainer conducted a final test upon the owner's command for a walk. Although Yonko bit down on the leash, it didn't physically resist. Instead, it obediently followed the owner during the walk. When the owner stopped walking, Yonko promptly halted as well. The owner, accompanied by the dog, approached the gate, and Yonko passed through it calmly. This positive outcome was the result of repetitive training. In the days following the training, the couple reported back with updates on the later stages. The husband diligently practiced walking and training every day, effectively asserting control over the dog. When the wife brought food, Yonko no longer engaged in loud shouting and barking.